Hello and welcome everyone. Hello, Mark.
Hey.
So today we are diving a little bit deeper into the masculine and feminine energies and on the topic of trust.
Yes.
Yes. So what's your take on it, Mark?
Well, the thing about trust is that it's really kind of the foundation pillar of a relationship. And whether that relationship is between two partners or in any two people, there has to be a certain amount of trust in that relationship in order for the aspects of the relationship to flourish.
Yeah.
So the deeper the trust, the more the relationship can flourish. So if it's just like a work colleague relationship, then the trust doesn't need to be that deep. It just needs to be deep enough so that you can work together. But
Depends on the job, really.
well, that's
If
true
you're a
too.
police officer, then you gotta have deep trust.
Yeah, for sure. Depending on the role,
Yeah.
but basically, like different levels of trust will depend on the depth of that relationship.
Yeah.
So the more the trust, the deeper the relationship.
Yeah. So how would you say that this affects, like what have you noticed in because we're diving pretty deep into the feminine and the masculine, I've been doing for a while. So what would you say are the main aspects that like the dance between the trusts? What are you noticing?
So I noticed that trust is easily affects the status of the relationship. And so both the feminine and the masculine require that trust to be in place. And if the trust is broken, even slightly, it alerts the nervous system of the other person. So regardless of if it's masculine or feminine, if trust is broken in any way, it immediately sends the nervous system of the other person into alert. And it may not be something that you notice right away, but it just starts to happen in your body. Your body starts to feel a little bit unsafe, and you may not understand where that's coming from or why that's happening. And then you may start to question the other person. You may start to think about, or you might have to feel like you need to remind the other person a lot.
You mean
Um,
nagging?
you could call it nagging, but nagging could also be another nervous system response,
Yeah.
but it's seeking safety.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's happening, because if we look at it from a feminine point of view, like from an unbalanced feminine point of view, like when the feminine feels like she needs to check on the masculine all the time. And like, this is what I mean with the nagging. And that's where it comes from, an unsafety in the nervous system. And that means that the feminine needs to remind or keep checking. So it goes into a controlling behavior. And that creates just more friction and lack of trust, because then the masculine doesn't feel trusted, and that becomes like a negative spiral. And that's what I see in a lot of people,
Yeah.
and in myself as well.
Yeah,
100%.
and I think that what starts to happen is trust and dependability kind of go hand in hand. And what happens is if dependability becomes eroded at any point, it also starts to feel like trust is eroded. And that may be difficult, especially for the masculine to understand. And so let's just say, for example, and I can use myself in this example, like if I'm late to a meeting, that's a dependability issue. Okay. And so, hey, Mark, we were depending on you to be at the meeting on time today. And usually I'm on time, but here or there, I miss a few. So every time that I'm late to a meeting, that sends an alert signal to the other people like, hey, Mark isn't 100% dependable when it comes to meetings. He's probably about 95% dependable. But then it starts to, so then let's say another thing happens, like I don't answer an email for a week. So the more things that start to stack up against me that make me not dependable, that starts to erode trust.
Yeah.
And so when you get to a certain level of that dependability, if it's eroded too far, then you breach into an area where this person is just unsafe in your nervous system. So then you don't trust them for money. You don't trust them to remember what you said. You don't trust them to leave the house and come back on time, So it's one of these things that we tend to kind of want to brush away quickly. Oh, I was just late. Don't worry, it's not a big deal. Well, it is a big deal in the nervous system when it happens over and over again.
Yeah.
So it's easy for the masculine to just want to brush it away and be like, oh, this is no big deal. Like, why are you making such a fuss about this? I was only late one time. And then the feminine will be like, actually, you were late this time, this time, this time, this time, because people remember these things. And this is the dance that I have put myself into a number of times throughout many different relationships in my life.
Yeah, and I've been on the other end also, and I can see it, but it's so interesting now when I know what's happening in the nervous system, so I can, instead like, okay, what's going on now? And then like, oh, I start to feel unsafe like instantly, because if you have a history of like trauma or stress, or if your nervous system and your body is how to say, not prone, but have a history of different things, then the starting point is not as good. Then your nervous system will be much easily triggered in these things, and when these things happen. And that's what I noticed with myself, like, wow, I can so fast go into that the nervous system goes, well, this is not safe. But instead of acting on it and making a big deal out of it and judging the person, or like stacking that in this file, like Mark is not trustworthy, I can see, oh, this happened, and now my system goes into alert because of my past. It's like my history, and I can really see how that has, what has happened like in my previous life, and I mean, it happens all the time, and
Absolutely.
it's so interesting.
Yeah. Well, like, and for me, especially this topic about the dependability has played out in my life quite a bit, because my nervous system was in the blue zone for such a long period of time that I was late, and I was not dependable on many different levels in my life.
Yeah.
And so I'm wandering around in the blue zone, kind of like lost and not knowing what I'm doing. And then my partner is expecting dependability, and then she's not receiving that. So then it's like two traumatized people just wounding each other, and that's not a healthy place to be.
No. And it's interesting also because the trust, the dependability that you talk about, and the masculine or any person in the relationship being in the blue zone, because what the feminine really needs from the masculine is this presence, like feeling that they are present. But if you're in the blue zone, you're almost never present. You live from a dissociated place. And when you combine these two, like when the person is there, the person is not really there. It's like you feel I mean, so many people that I work with mention these things, like, yeah, he's home, but I don't feel his presence. And then you combine that with not being on point with, picking up the kids, or packing the right thing, or, oh, that thing we're going to on Saturday, okay, you were supposed to pick up the wine, did you do that? Like, oh no, I didn't. Like, all of those things create together like a highly activated nervous system for the feminine when the masculine is not present. And it's not about, it doesn't mean that the person is not devoted. It doesn't mean that the person is not loving. It doesn't mean that the person is not committed to the relationship or to the marriage or whatever, or the project or whatever it is that's happening. It's about a physical response. It's like a technical issue.
Yeah, it really is. But it can get messy quick, because you can start to assume and attach emotions to that. And so the feminine might think, the man is never present, he's always late, he forgets things. So therefore, this is where it gets tricky, he doesn't love me, he doesn't care about me, he's not devoted, he's not in the relationship, he's not 100%. But the man, like, because he's in the blue zone and he's not able to be present in his nervous system, even though his actions are in devotion, he's committed to the relationship, and all of his working efforts are going towards the relationship and the family. Because his nervous system isn't present, then the feminine isn't able to actually experience the efforts of that work.
Yeah, in the body, it might be materialistic, but it's not
Right.
there in the body.
Yeah, and that's where it's needed.
Yeah, and that's the foundation.
Yeah.
So I mean, we could talk about this forever. It's so deep, and there's so many nuances in it, and it's so interesting. But we will actually go a lot deeper in these topics, and we will launch a course, The Sacred Union, The Rise of the Sacred Union. It's a relationship course for couples, but it's also for singles, it's for colleagues, it's for parents, it's for friends. It's basically relationship from the polarities, like from the feminine and the masculine aspect, because it doesn't matter who you are, we all have a feminine or masculine core, or we have, so if all our energy is 100%, we have some that is masculine, some that is feminine. We could be 50-50, we could be 90-10, we could be anything. So it's more about, and we all have the energies within us, so it's about who am I dealing with, and how am I reacting, and where am I on the scale, and starting to come back to the body and to navigate, to learn these energies and to navigate. I mean, for me, that was a game changer, absolute game changer, especially in the relationship with me and Simba, but also with you and me, and other feminine people, and it changed how I navigate the world, really.
Yeah, well, and the way that we'll talk about it is through our foundation of understanding the nervous system and the effects and the reactions that happen in the nervous system that largely goes unnoticed by people who aren't aware of the impact of the nervous system.
Yeah. So this 6-week course starts February 14th, so you have time, but we have an early bird until end of November. So if you want to join us, you can catch on the early bird, and it's a 6-week course. We will go in depth in 6 different topics, and we will give homeworks, and we will do live coaching on the people who are participating. We will also give you like somatic practices. So it's going to be full circle for 6 weeks, and it's going to be epic. We're going to share everything that we know about how to maneuver and really come back to that, to yourself, and also find harmony in the relationship with other people. So sign up through the link. We have linked it below, and or you can just surf into livingwiththespirit.com. You find it under online services, and you can read all about it. And we hope to see you there.
Yeah. See you soon.
Thank you for today. Lots of love.